Bochum losing to them. When that happened, I thought it was over. I thought we weren't going to, I mean, we didn't win the Champions League, of course.
Very disappointing Champions League. I remember we started off 9-2 against Dinamo Zagreb. I was like, damn, we are cooking. Let me tell you, we're going to be cooking. All teams should be afraid of us and whatnot, but no.
With Bayern Munich lifting the Bundesliga trophy, getting Harry Kane his first ever trophy, Muller's last ever trophy with Bayern Munich. The season has concluded. Bundesliga is over. Champions League is over. DFB-Pokal is over. Still got the Club World Cup. But the season is over basically for Bayern Munich. And today, Bayern Buddies, the best Bayern duo since robbery, most underrated duo on the internet. Today, we are going to be giving you our analysis, our opinions on the season as a whole. Yes, we gave you our first Bundesliga reaction, whatnot, but we wanted to dive a little deeper into the whole entire season as a whole, looking at how we thought it went, and yeah, just seeing what our opinions on it and getting yours as well. So yeah, lock this in. Thanks for watching in advance, and let's go. So first, let's start with the Bundesliga. We'll start with the Bundesliga, get into the Champions League, then do a little DFB-Pokal maybe. But yeah, lock that in. So Bundesliga first.
This video has been recorded after Bayern Munich have lifted the trophy. We've won the trophy. Absolutely fantastic. We'll take it for sure. Currently have 79 points with it. We've lost 2 games. We've drawn 7, which is kind of a lot if I'll be completely honest with you. And we've won 24 games. You know, overall a pretty decent record and whatnot. You know, I definitely think it's a little bit more on the other teams kind of falling off than with us if I'm being completely honest with you. But we can't be too negative about it at the end of the day. We got to be happy. Harry Kane pretty much going to be winning the Golden Boot. Olise hopefully he wins Player of the Year, maybe Young Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, whatever, right? Hopefully he gets an individual trophy and we'll be flourishing for sure. You know, with that being said, my favorite Bayern game of the whole Bundesliga season has to be the RB Leipzig game where we won 5-1. Absolutely crazy game. It scored also in the first minute as well, so that game was really fun to watch. That game would really made me be excited. You know, that game overall was just absolutely fantastic. You know, everyone provided a good attacking display. Kimmich scored a banger. Harry Kane had a great game as well. Everyone was cooking, let me tell you.
Yeah, not the best Bundesliga season for Bayern, but at the end of the day, we won it. We did it, and that's what matters, of course. I know it's not a win, but my favorite game was the last Der Klassiker of Dortmund Bayern. What a game that was. I know we drew, but it was just how it happened. I mean, it was such a great experience. One of my favorite games of the season just to experience as a fan. Sure, at the moment, it was a little bit shaky. Maybe were we going to win the Bundesliga, whatnot, but we tied and we got the job done. So looking back, it definitely was electric to just live in that moment and be experiencing that game. What a game it was for real.
Well, yeah, very unfortunate. I know that, you know, Leverkusen were falling off a little bit and they couldn't capitalize, and that's why we won the Bundesliga pretty early on, if I'll be completely honest with you. But when we played Leverkusen, it wasn't the greatest. At home, we drew 1-1. It was absolutely disgraceful. We couldn't take any chances. We completely dominated them out the park. It was absolutely, you know, they got a lucky long shot and they scored it. It ended up being 1-1. Pavlovic scored a banger, to be fair. But yeah, that game should have won. We should have won that game. And then we go into the second kind of leg in a way. We played Leverkusen. We draw 0-0. We didn't concede, but we didn't even have a shot on target. It was absolutely haram ball. It was terrorist ball at the end of the day. What am I watching as a Bayern Munich fan? But yeah, other than that, you know, like my Bayern Buddy mentioned, we won the Bundesliga, and that's definitely the most important part. I think that's what the board really wanted the most, just to kind of get that Bundesliga back, take that Bundesliga back from Leverkusen and go from there.
And let's just dive real quick into those 2 losses that we had this season, which I think is actually pretty good. Only 2 losses. That's impressive, I would say. I've definitely experienced Bundesliga with more losses, but as Pat said, we did have a lot of draws in there. So do with that what you will. But 2 losses, Mainz and Bochum. That second one, I mean, Bochum losing to them, when that happened, I thought it was over. I thought we weren't going to, I mean, we didn't win the Champions League, of course, but I didn't think we even stood a chance at that point against Leverkusen when that happened. I didn't think we stood a chance in winning the Bundesliga because it was just such a crash out, such a bad run of form. I think we had a couple draws around that time as well to some lesser teams. Yeah, that was probably one of my lowest points just because, I mean, it felt like everything was crashing out and company ball wasn't going to be the one just because of the recent draws around there and the loss. But then we have Mainz, of course. I mean, I don't know, maybe it was a little fluky. It was around the Christmas time celebrating, you know, maybe the Bayern players were a little drinky happy, but nah. In a serious note, yeah, they lost to Mainz. I mean, not really a great team at all. We got our revenge, 1-3-0, so I don't know how we lost 2-1 to them back in December. I mean, just a classic, just Bayern Munich, I don't know, just throwing out those performances every once in a while, you know?
Yeah, the Bochum game did hurt a lot because that was the anniversary, the Bayern 125th anniversary. We played with the beautiful kit. Absolutely love that kit. Definitely cop for sure, you know, with that being said. But yeah, I remember that game basically kind of, I feel that was a turning point for Palhinha. Obviously, he was injured and whatnot, but he did get a red card that game. and as we know, he hasn't really played much since. And also, that game was the reason why Guerrero started at camp for Inter, because he scored 2 goals against Bochum. Very poor coaching. I know obviously Musiala was out and whatnot, but yeah, very poor coaching. Muller should have obviously started that game. That being said, Bundesliga season, we won it, cannot complain.
And yeah, for the Bundesliga, some individual stats. I mean, Harry Kane, of course, becomes top goal scorer, winning that Golden Boot, of course. He wins the Golden Boot with 25 goals, as we all expected. No one was really catching up to him, to be honest. I mean, it looked a little tight a little earlier in the season, but yeah, he broke away with it, of course, as the season comes to an end. And he might even end up with more than that, because we're 1 game behind in recording. So yeah, and then we have Jamal Musiala and Sané following him for our top goal scorers, which is pretty crazy to hear. I mean, Musiala was injured for a lot of the season. I mean, not a lot, but you know, he was injured for a decent amount. And yeah, so he still ends up second. And then Sané somehow finally crossed in his 5th season with us, double-digit goals for the first time. So yeah, finally, I guess, whatnot. And then we have assist. Olise, he gets the top spot with 14. What a legend. He's going to keep pushing for that. I don't know if he'll ever break Muller's record, but we'll see. I hope he does, of course. Then, of course, Kane comes up again with his CDM playing ass. He gets second, getting 7 assists. I mean, if a striker's going to provide some assists, that's cheeky. If you're going to get 25 goals, 7 assists, what a season for that. And then we have Kimmich with 6, which if he played right back, he'd have more. But yeah, let's move on from the Bundesliga. I'm tired of talking about this. Let's lock in on that Champions League. Champions League, the table, a new format. We did not do good at all. We finished 12th. I thought we were going to get that last 8 spot, I remember, but we never ended up getting it, and we ended up 12th, which was pretty bad for our standards, of course. We thought we'd do a lot better, but we had some terrible losses I'll let Pat get into, but yeah, it was just not good enough for Bayern Munich. Company's first season, new format. Maybe I'll give him a little bit of a break with all the new changes, but next season I definitely need to see us crack that top 8. Even though we've seen, though, with PSG, it doesn't really matter in the table. It's a little more like American sports now, I feel like, with the playoffs. Just do good when it matters. I mean, right? So I don't know if the table really even matters too much, but yeah.
Like my Bayern buddy said, PSG, they finished 15th. Obviously, right now they're in the Champions League final, so absolutely crazy. And Liverpool were first place too, and they got knocked down the round of 16. So necessarily really doesn't matter, I guess, how you finish it. Just like what my Bayern buddy said, it could be the playoffs and whatnot. So as long as you lock in the playoffs, then you should be fine with that being said. So, but yeah, other than that, very disappointing Champions League. I remember we started off 9-2 against Dinamo Zagreb. I was like, damn, we are cooking. Let me tell you, we're gonna be cooking. All teams should be afraid of us and whatnot, but no. The next game we lost against Aston Villa. Granted, I know maybe that was a mistake from Neuer, mistake from our defense. Duran scored a banger of a goal, and then we kept missing chances. Emi Martinez was in clutch. But at the end of the day, it's still disgraceful. We definitely should be beating Aston Villa, getting a point even maybe. Cannot afford to lose a game. Then after that, Barcelona happened. Disgraceful. Barcelona fans think they own us right now because Rafinha scored 3 goals. I'm crashing out. Obviously, Barcelona fans, if you're watching this, you are our dog, but we'll give you this game for sure. Absolutely terrible game. Neuer did not make a single save at all. Our defense was crashing out. Their high line was actually cooking. We kept being offside. I think we had like 20 offsides that game. I was crashing out, let me tell you. But yeah, disgraceful performance from Bayern Munich against Barcelona. I was crashing out. But yeah, after that, it seemed like Bayern Munich were starting to lock in. They played Benfica, they played PSG, they played Shakhtar Donetsk. They were absolutely cooking. They didn't concede against PSG, who obviously right now in the final. Granted, I know it's a different team, but still, we'll take that. I will be running down the grave for sure. With that being said, and then Benfica, you know, they were giving Barcelona a little bit of troubles. Obviously, we saw that 5-4. We saw even in the round of 16 too, they were kind of struggling a little bit. But yeah, we did okay against some pretty decent teams, but we just lacked a lot of quality against some teams and whatnot. Next game, I believe it was Feyenoord. We lost 3-0. Santiago Jimenez cooked us, scored a penalty, then he scored a penalty, then he scored like a pretty decent goal as well. Guerrero crashed out. Davies crashed out. That was absolutely terrible. Upamecano, he sort of had a good game, but when you look at the third goal, we crashed out. It was absolutely disgraceful and whatnot. But yeah, that 3-0 game, I knew that at that point, it was not looking good for us. I remember like thinking if we at least won that game, which I thought we were going to, would have at least solidified that 8th place, because now after that we played against Slavia Bratislava and we only won 3-1. I think we needed to win like 8-0 in order to be considered in 8th place and whatnot. But yeah, we didn't do that, and yeah, we crashed out, and then we finished, I believe it was 12th place. But yeah, enough yapping. Let's get into the playoffs, knockout stages. Let's get it.
Yeah, Celtic, another disappointing game. I mean, needed Davies to score in the last minute to even get by them, and Celtic are, I mean, sure, they're not a terrible side, of course, by no means, but we definitely should be beating them in a more dominant fashion. Even if it was 1-0 by 1 goal, just had to be more dominant for sure. So yeah, winning in the last minute, I'm not accepting that. I'm not taking it, but we went through no matter what. Then I would say the highlight of the season for Bayern Munich fans, and just the highlight of the season in general with Leverkusen. I mean, I think that's the best games we played the whole season. Winning, 5-0 on aggregate. That was amazing. I mean, everyone was doubting us. Everyone had us as the underdog. All the PR was going to Leverkusen, of course, because everyone was hating on us, but we did it. 5-0, beat Leverkusen, ended their season, ended their run, selling all their players and their coaches now. So yeah, it's over for them. But yeah, that was a highlight. That was a great moment of the season, one of the peaks of the season. But then we got to get into obviously Inter next. A bit controversial, maybe some of the goals, whatever, handball, whatever you want to talk about. But we crashed out. We lose to Inter. I mean, they're in the final now, so I don't know what you say what you will about that. But I think we definitely could have beat them. Definitely, the injuries were a big point of the whole season. I mean, if we had our full lineup, we'd even need our full lineup to beat these guys. But if we did have our full lineup, we would have beat them definitely 100%. On top of that, if we just had our defense, not even Musiala, I think we would have definitely conceded less goals. And they ended up not being, after their defensive run, whatever, in the group stage and early rounds against Bayern, against Barca, they conceded, I mean, a crazy amount of goals. So that defense is not as scary as we thought it was. We actually scored enough goals to beat them. So yeah, if our defense was locked, we would have done it. Crashed out in the Champions League. Inter, I mean, not a bad side to crash out to. Barcelona would have been very difficult to beat them, of course, but they had their vulnerabilities against Inter, as we have seen. So who knows what Bayern could have done the second time around. But we still would have had those injuries, so probably not. But yeah, crashed out of the Champions League. I'll let Pat get his word on our exit, and then we'll move on to DFB-Pokal.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Barcelona lost 7-6 on aggregate. And we lost 4-3 on aggregate. So pretty much that's essentially, kind of how it looks with that. So we would have probably competed with Barcelona. I mean, for sure. That being said, obviously we cannot just say, oh, Barcelona were really good, they would have destroyed us. No, we're Bayern Munich at the end of the day. We always have to reach the furthest as possible, without a doubt. But yeah, the Inter game, there was lots of controversy. Obviously those injuries did kill us, I feel. Even if we maybe even had Neuer, obviously no disrespect to Erbeck, but I think that presence of him being in those corners and whatnot, maybe we wouldn't even have conceded those corners. Who knows? I mean, with that being said, Erbeck is a little bit shorter and whatnot. Obviously, it doesn't really matter if you're short or tall, but I think with Bayern Munich, just like how our defenders are used to having Manuel Neuer in their presence, I feel like that played a huge part and whatnot. But yeah, at the end of the day, we led. It was easy. We score, we concede. That's basically how it looked. Our defense was in absolute shambles. And, Upamecano being out was definitely a big miss. With that being said, we can't dwell too much on it. We just got to sign some players and whatnot. But yeah, let's dive deep into the DFB-Pokal, where we crashed out.
So yeah, DFB-Pokal, we got exited really early on, so a lot of people probably tend to forget that we were even in the competition to begin with. But we had our first game against Un, and we won 4-0. I mean, I don't want to disrespect them, but yeah, second Bundesliga team, 4-0. I mean, got the job done. I think 4-0 against a second Bundesliga team, that's fair. I'm not going to criticize them for that. Maybe we could have beat them a little more, but I'm not going to complain. And yeah, so we get through that round. We go on to Mainz, and then Mainz, of course, they beat us once in the Bundesliga season, but we ended up beating them in the DFB-Pokal. So that's, we get that cheeky win against them. And then we go on to crash out against Leverkusen, our arch nemesis. I mean, we couldn't handle them in the Bundesliga season. Same for the DFB-Pokal. I don't know how we did it in the Champions League. That's just the Champions League aura that we have. But in the DFB-Pokal, we crashed out to Leverkusen. And yeah, at that point, I mean, Leverkusen looked undefeatable to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to that Mainz game, it was Musiala's first ever career hat-trick. So absolutely fantastic. That's the only positive I'm going to get from this DFB-Pokal season. But yeah, against Leverkusen, we didn't have Harry Kane. Neuer sold. He got us a red card against Frimpong and whatnot. And that basically kind of killed off the game. And on top of that, we did dominate them, which was even crazier too, the fact that we did dominate them and they were literally playing so defensive against a team that had no striker and that had 10 men on the field. So that pretty much says all about the Bayern aura, but unfortunately we did lose the game, and it sucks because Leverkusen got knocked down in the semifinals themselves, and they're not even in the DFB-Pokal final. Arminia Bielefeld knocked them out. So third division team playing in the third Liga. They won against Leverkusen, so I'm crashing out. It could have been us. We could have had an easy DFB-Pokal final, but we crashed out. Could have been another trophy for Harry Kane. But yeah, I remember thinking, yeah, the Harry Kane trophy curse is real at that time. But yeah, DFB-Pokal, we haven't won it since 2020, since our treble year, since with our Pookie Bear Hansi Flick. Will we win it in 2026? I don't know. Doesn't seem likely, but we definitely do have to win at least 2 more DFB-Pokals, surely in the 20s decade. Please, Bayern Munich, lock in, because this is really getting embarrassing, let me tell you.
Yeah, DFB-Pokal, haven't won it in forever, so I mean, hopefully company could at least bring a double like Pep Guardiola would next season. That's at the least I'm going to hope for, is if we could get first the Bundesliga, then the double, and then the big boy, the treble after that. But yeah, let's lock it in. That's our Bundesliga, a little dive into our season, our opinions on it. I mean, we crashed out in a lot of the tournaments, but we got the Club World Cup coming up. Maybe we could get a cheeky double with that. Get Harry Kane his next trophy with that. Lock that in maybe. With Wirtz on the team, lock that in maybe. But yeah, that's our season review. That's our season deep dive, whatever. Just talking about the season, our opinions and whatnot. But yeah, let us know what you guys thought about the Bundesliga, Champions League, DFB-Pokal, and about Bayern Munich's, Bayern Munich season this year. Soon we'll be coming out with a video about what we think Bayern need to do in the future in this summer transfer window to secure that treble with company. And yeah, check out our other videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate the support every time. Mia san mia, and peace.